my part of my work has been based on researching all about the mythology and the Irish entities, and the story of the A is one that struck me as a very relevant one, and one that also wanted to discuss and to create a whiskey around it. And like you said, Jay, it's all about the entrapment of the A inside the body of something very beautiful, in something that is known as obviously being the water substrate that then influences the whiskey itself, and it's something that can make that parallelism throughout the entire maturation and the entire process of making the whiskey. And obviously, as the same as the A was entrapped, waiting to be released into something very powerful, then we are doing exactly the same thing with our DA, which is also releasing a whiskey that is very, very powerful at the end of the entire process.
Yeah, I think it's perfect. I think I couldn't think of a better one for this particular whiskey, because it's actually going to be our oldest whiskey we've ever released. It's a flavor bomb like nothing I've ever tried. So to be able to put it into something beautiful, I mean, obviously I want to see what designs you come up with for it, but I'm sure, knowing what you put together, it's going to be incredible. So yeah, if we can do something where it's entrapped or encased in something beautiful, that'd be kind of cool. And maybe it's got to always go back into that particular, like the vessel itself, the whiskey bottle kind of always has to go back to where it was, because obviously you're unleashing the god of the underworld and you're taking a sip of the A, but then it's got to go back into its place. I think would be cool.
And ultimately, as the god of the underworld, it needs a proper throne to sit. So yes, it would be one of the main things that I would plan in designing such an item and such an entity would be, yes, you need to have a beautiful vessel. The entrapment, it needs to be beautiful on its own, just like the swan was a very beautiful image around the entirety of the A story and mythology. But then ultimately you have so much power in your hands, then you need also to keep it constrained and to keep it in a proper throne to obviously highlight the entire entity that you are holding.
Yeah, I like that. So what it's being held in, it goes back into, like, it's sitting back on its throne. So essentially it'll be something that, like doors or whatever you would use, that would close across it, which is when it's encased in the swan, when the A is in the swan. And then maybe there's a button or something that can be pressed that would open it up. And then it could stay open looking like it's on its throne and it's been released and they can take it in and out as they want. Is that what you're thinking?
Absolutely. And I think for a design like this, and if we are going down the route of something very beautiful, if we're going down the route of an entity that ultimately needs to be seen and it's entrapped, but it's entrapped in plain sight, then most of it would be see-through. I think we should deviate from the, let's call it the ordinary fully closed box, to put the whiskey in there and actually to have it locked in plain sight. So what I'm envisioning at this stage is to have a structure that is still holding your bottle, that is still working as a throne, but you can still see it inside. So you know that entity is there. It's waiting to be unleashed. It's waiting for all its powers to be released.
I love that, because in the story of the children of Lear, when the spell was cast on them for 900 years in the body of a swan, they were still allowed to have their voices, so they could still speak and sing and tell the people, hey, we're swans, but we're really the children of Lear. So they're in plain sight, but they're not, so to speak, because they're trapped in the body of a swan, but you can tell that it's the children of Lear. I think that's brilliant.
Absolutely. I think it's all about seeing through the entirety of that entity, and like I said, it's going to be our most rarest and most exquisite release this far. It needs to have its own kind of visual to see through everything, definitely.
Yep, I agree.